All right, so good morning, good evening, good afternoon, and welcome. So this is going to be the review that's going to be for our Chapter 4 test that's going to be coming up. We're going to start taking the test on Wednesday, October 30th in my class, and that'll continue on until the 31st, okay? So make sure as you go through this process, guys, if you struggle with anything, let me know. I will have to use my keyboard and mouse on this particular lesson, so bear with me as I go through this process, okay? It's going to be 20 questions. I may or may not have to split this video in two. We'll find out as we go through. I will show you multiple examples as we go through because I want to make sure you guys understand that you will see multiple versions of the same questions on this test. One big key thing is just remember, don't freak out. Do the best you can and go from there. So on this first example right here, it says printer prints 2 photos each minute. So I've talked to a couple students today, and we had a conversation regarding this topic and making sure that they understood the math on this. And so if I said to you, how many, after 10 minutes, how many photos would be created? Most of you would look at this and say 20. And then I have to ask you, how did you get that? Well, you took 2 and you multiplied it by 10, right? So if you did that, then you know this formula here has to be the letter P, because it says let P to M, so it'd be P equals, now you can do lowercase or upper, it doesn't matter, P equals, in this case it'd be 2M. And then you basically would have to graph it. So if I were to graph this on Desmos, or on the equation here, my y-intercept would start at 0, and then it would go up 2 over 1, there's my graph, let me check it, and bam, I'm correct. Another example would be, here's something different, okay? Where a plant is already at 10 centimeters tall. So if we know that, we know our equation is going to start with the letter H. So it's letter H equals, because it says H to M. So if it's already 10 and it grows 1 centimeter a month, it's going to be a plus, because and is always a plus. And then it's 1 centimeter a month would be 1M, or just the letter M. And then you basically, to graph this, you guys know your starting point is not 0, 0, but in this case, it'd be 0, 10, and then every month above that, it'd grow 1 inch. There's your question, you check. Make sure you guys know the difference, okay? This has a starting value, and then it will grow. Sometimes it'll say additionally. If it says additionally, it's adding. Figure out the things in your head and see if you can get it, yes or no, okay? So do that. Number 2, more difficult, okay? It's a harder complex equation. We're gonna let C equal the total cost. So C equals, sugar company is gonna transport a sugar at a cost. Here's an initial cost, write it down, all right? And it will cost an additional. So right here with the word additional, what does that mean? Well, additional means adding. 125 for each ton. And if you guys look here, it says let S represent the amount of sugar in tons being transported. So it's going to be 125S. Simple as that, okay? So here's my formula, but this is where it gets a little tricky for some of you. So I'm going to move in to make sure you guys can see me. This icon right here is what's going to be important, because we're going to need to graph a line, okay? Now, if you look on here, I don't see anywhere where 3,750 is. It's right here. But if I try to graph a line, I can either go to 3,500 or 4. I can't start at 350, okay? So what you have to do is understand that you need to create a point. So you click on this box right here. Then on my first box, if I have 0 as my x value, my next value is going to be what? If that's 0, then I'm left with only 3,750. So my y value is 3,750. Okay, and then you can see it creates a little point right there, and I scroll down and hit plot point. The next easiest one is 1. So if I have x as 1, which means this would be 1, it would be 3,750 plus 125. If I do that calculation out, that would be, hit the tab, 3,875. And then I would plot that point. Make sure you guys can do that. And then you see, now I can grab this, pick that point, pick that one, and guess it gives me my line. I hit check, and it's correct. Now here's the key. Make sure you guys do this setup, because it'll mark you half wrong. If you get the equation right, it'll give you half credit, but then if you get the graph wrong, it'll be completely wrong. On the quiz that we took, a lot of you guys got these things wrong because you didn't do the correct graph, which is kind of slightly embarrassing, I would think. Number 3, write an equation in slope-intercept form. So remember this form, it's going to be up on my board, but it's y equals mx plus b. It always is, all right? So it's going to be y equals, and then it's m, which is my slope of 4/3, and then it's going to be x plus, and in this case, my intercept is -4. I'm doing this for a reason, to make sure you guys understand. This does not look normal. So remember what you're supposed to do is take that plus and convert it to a negative. Okay, so it'd be -4. There's my answer. I check it, I move on. It asks for slope-intercept form. That's the form we get. The next one asks for point-slope form. Okay, that is not this form here. It is the y minus y1 equals m x minus x1. Okay, so remember when we do this form, it's always the same. Where we're going to start off, and it's going to be y minus. All right, so let me get my mouse over in the area here. See if I can find it. Where's my mouse? Oh, there it is. Okay, it's going to be y minus, and then my value is going to be -5. So once again, I see the double negative, so I got to change that to a +5, and then it's going to be equals my slope, which is -5 divided by 2, and then it's going to be x minus, and you just drop the number 6 in there, and that's it. Whoops. X minus 6. Close the bracket, and that's it. You don't have to solve it, okay? It just says write an equation in point-slope form. This is point-slope form. That is. Make sure you guys can fill in the blanks, okay? I had a couple students today struggle with that, and you shouldn't, to be quite honest. All right, next, let me delete this, okay, is graph the line. Well, we need to rewrite the equation, but forget that. We ain't got time for it. The easiest way to do this one, ladies and gentlemen, is to graph it in decimals. So I have decimals pulled up. All right, so this is -5, and then my slope is a positive 1/4. So let me go to here. Let me back this up a little bit. It's a 4, and then it's x plus 3. So I go here, hit delete, +3. There's my line. Okay, so I like this graph for one reason. This is where some of you guys struggle, okay? You will zoom out and you'll be like, all right, what are my points? Well, you'll click on the line, you'll have this point here and this one. If you guys look at my graph, I only go to -10. I can't graph this point. So you'd be like, well, what do I do now? You guys need to learn to troubleshoot. And like I've talked about multiple times in class, what you do is you get your mouse on this line and you start dragging until you find some solid points. Okay, so on here, I don't see any. Let me zoom in. That way I can see the grid like this. So that way I can see something like this one right here, which is -3,5 is a point. And then I have a feeling this is going to be another one right here, which is -7,4. Okay, so I got -7,4 and -3,5. So I go here, I go -7,4, and then I got -3, let me make sure I got that one right. -3,5, okay? So, and then -3,5, just like that. Right there. Check your answer, and yay, I graphed it right, okay? You can't use the intersections. Sometimes you gotta graph on the line and find solid points. Please make sure you do that using Desmos. Number 6 is where we start actually entering in the real information. Okay, now, I'm not gonna put it in here. I'm gonna write it out for you to make sure you guys understand the process. Equals -2, and then it's gonna be x plus 2, all right? So here's my initial setup. Now what you guys are gonna do is do your distribution, okay? So my distribution is going to be y plus 1 equals -2x minus 4. Then you do your next step, which is subtract 1 from both sides, okay? And then so it'll be y equals -2x minus 5. Now here's the trick. we are not done because the x and the y are supposed to be on the same side. They are not on this equation. So you need to move it. So this would be plus 2x plus 2x. Then you finish it off. So it's 2x plus y equals negative 5. Ladies and gentlemen, that is standard form. Rewrite your equations and put it in there. Right? So if I put in 2x plus y equals negative 5, I will get the correct answer. I'm not going to check it because we need to keep moving on. Next one here, find the equation below. This is another one where some of you guys struggled. So first thing we need to do is find our slope, where it's rise up over the run. Okay, my run is going this way. So how many did I go up? 1, 2, 3, 4. Now some of you will get a negative number. If it's a negative slope going down this way, you would count down. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, whatever it is, you count. And then it's 4 up and then over. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So mine is a positive slope. Some of you will get a negative. Please make sure you understand that. Mine's positive, and it can be reduced to 2 over 3. So there's my slope. Now I need to use the point. So I'll use the simplest point, which is this one right here, which is 1 over 2 up. 1 over 2 up. If I have a point and a slope, I can use the point slope form. This form right there, and you just fill in the blanks. Okay, so it's y minus, and it's going to be 2 equals my slope of 2/3, and then it's x minus 1. And now you solve it out. Okay, so this is y minus 2 equals 2 over 3x, and then it's minus 2 over 3 because that times that is a negative. Then the last step on this would be to add 2 to both sides. Okay, and if I do that, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to get 1, and I'm going to do this in my head. Usually you should get a calculator. 2 over 3x. And then if that is 2/3, and that's 2, I think it's going to be 1 1/3, which is 4 over 3. All right, because if I did that, that would be 6 over 3, and 2 minus 6 would be that. So I'm pretty sure that's the right answer. Okay. Now, how did I get this? I did it in my head, but technically you can put that into a calculator and figure it out. So let me see if I got it right. Y equals 2 divided by 3x, and then it's plus 4 divided by 3, or 4/3. I hit check, and hey, I did my math right. Sweet. I'm glad. Any questions on that? Rewind, watch it again, figure the solution out, okay? It's very important that you guys do. Next, on here, relatively simple process on this one. Big key aspect is just reading the equation. This is all nice. Kira, beautiful word problem, but I only care about this. Okay, this equation right here. And when I care about this, it talks about what is the change per week. Okay, what does change mean? Well, what does slope mean? Slope means rate of change. So if my change per week is going to be the slope, which in this problem is the number in front of the x, which is 20. And then what was the starting amount? Well, it's got the other number, which is 750. Okay, so rate of change is your slope, which is 20. 750 is my starting amount. That's the answers. We're moving on. Okay, number 9. When you do number 9, same thing. Okay, what is a parallel line? I don't care about any of this crap. Now, let me rephrase this. This is the form of y equals mx plus b, right? Do I care about the b? Nope. Do I care about the x? Nope. Do I care about the y? I only care about the m, which is negative 5 over 2. So, a slope that is parallel is negative 5 over 2. Perpendicular, negative 5 over 2. And then, ladies and gentlemen, what do? Take the bottom number, put it on the top number, put it on the bottom, so it'd be 2/5, and then you multiply in a negative, which makes this positive. So my slope of a perpendicular line would be 2 over 5. So the top one is 5 over 2, negative, because it's the same slope, and the bottom one is 2 over 5. Number 10. I don't want to fill in the empty boxes. Number 10. Oh, boo. I hit a negative, sorry. Number 10. All right, good. Now let's move on. Now, ladies and gentlemen, you got to do a little bit of a different thing. Looking at this formula, it needs to be y equals mx plus b, but it's actually in standard form. So you need to rewrite it. So it's going to be 9x plus 5y equals 3. Okay, and now you do your math. All right, on this one here, we're going to subtract 9x from both sides because we need to get it to be y equals. So this would be 5y equals negative 9x plus 3. Then the next step is to what? Divide by 5. Everything. Do I need to go any farther beyond this? The answer is no. There's my slope. Because I don't care about anything. Now be careful. Because this one switched. Slope of a perpendicular line is on top. But I know my slope of a parallel is negative 9 over 5. Okay, slope of a perpendicular line, remember, is the exact opposite. So you take 9 over 5 and you flip it to 5 over 9, and then you multiply in a negative to make it positive. Let's check our answer. And we're correct. Okay, number 11. Make sure you guys understand this philosophy and setup for 11. Now this one's trickier. Okay, so got a little bit more work to it. You got to make sure you guys understand. I was checking the time. I'm worried about this number right here, which is the slope. So my slope is 8, m equals. Now this is where it comes in handy for you guys to make sure you understand the setup here. Okay, m equals 8. Your equations are going to be exactly the same. What I mean by that is it's going to be y minus, and then it's a 5, negative 5, so that makes this plus, equals, and then I'm going to leave my slope, first slope is 8. And then it's going to be x plus 4 because it's 8 negative. Now your other equation right here is going to be the same setup where it's y plus 5 equals, and then we're going to leave that blank, x plus 4 because the points are the same. But the slope needs to be perpendicular. So if it's 8, you take the slope and you flip it. 1 over 8 and it's a negative, right? So now you got to do your math. So the first one is relatively simple, okay, where it's going to be y plus 5 equals 8x plus 32, and then it's going to be minus 5, minus 5. So my answer is going to be y equals 8x plus 27. There's number 1 on the hit list. Number 2, do the math on this, okay? When you guys set this up, it's going to be y plus 5 equals 1 over 8 negative x. So that's going to get me in a second here. And then 4 times 1/8 would actually be 4 over 8. And I'll leave it at 4 over 8 for right now. But that can be reduced to what? 1/2. So make sure you guys do that. So if I know that it's 1/2, then, ladies and gentlemen, my last step here is to subtract 5 from both sides, okay, and if this is negative and that's negative, then I know my answer is y equals negative 1 over 8x, okay, and then what this is, guys, is this is negative 5 minus 1/2, which would be negative 5.5. Now, you can't put negative 5.5 in Alex. It'll mark it wrong, okay, I'm pretty sure it will. So you got to do the mixed fraction, which was 2 times 5, which is 10, plus 1 is 11. So it'd be minus 11 over 2, which is the same thing, okay? Is exactly the same thing. And then you would come in here and make sure you find the right one. So parallel line is going to be y equals 8x plus 27. And then the next one is y equals negative 1/8. And then it's going to be x minus 11 divided by 2, which is 5.5. And let's check our answer. Hey, I got it right, okay? So hopefully you guys see the math process on that. This is one of the hardest questions that you guys will have. Pause the video, back it up, rewatch it. You will get half credit if you give me y equals and the correct slope, okay? Because the slope is given to you. And the same with the perpendicular. You'll be given half credit. Make sure you at least give me that. And if you don't know what the b value is, okay, I'll go through the test and figure it out. Number 12. Here are 3 equations of lines given below. Look at what they are. So what you guys would do would be to go to Desmos. All right, so my first one here, I don't have to put the y equals. It's negative 5/3 x minus 8. And then the next one, you do have to fill out all the way. So it'd be 3y equals negative 5x plus 4. And then number 3 on the list here is 6x minus 10y equals 6. Okay, so let's plot these out. Now, let me hit the home button here to make sure I got it set up. All right, 1 and 2. So I turn off number 3. 1 and 2, ladies and gentlemen, do they look parallel? You zoom out, the answer is yes. So 1 and 2 in my case are parallel. Now I go 1 and 3. So now I need to go and turn off 2, turn on 3. Ooh, is that a 90-degree angle? Trusty, handy-dandy piece of paper. If I can put it in the corner, then the answer is what? Yes. So this is perpendicular. And then it says lines 2 and 3. So let me shut off 1, let me shut on 2. Check again. See if it's perpendicular. And ladies and gentlemen, the answer is yes, it is. It looks perpendicular. Man, I sure hope it is. Let's check. And I got them all right. Hopefully you guys see the paper test. Now, make sure if you put the paper in, okay, and let's just say for poops and giggles, this was a 2, okay, or that's not good enough. Let's do a 1. All right, say it's a 1, and I put this up here like this, and I put the corner, and you see that the line is starting to go through the paper. That's not 90 degrees, which means they are not perpendicular, which means they would be neither. So make sure you guys check your answers as you go through. 13. Correlation questions. Now, I will say I will probably get these wrong. Very hard. A phone company determined that a higher income indicates that a customer has a more expensive calling plan. What does this analysis show? Well, if they've done the research, there's a correlation between income and pricing. There may not be cause. Further studies. Phone company determined that a higher income indicates the customer has a more expensive plan. If that's the true, there'd be a correlation and a cause because there is an increase in the calling plan price with an increase in income. I don't like that explanation, so I'm going to go with number 1. A wine store conducted a survey showed that a customer does not tend to buy more or fewer bottles when more samples are offered. What does this conclude? Nothing. Dan compared the player's statistics from his team's soccer season. He determined that having less playing time implies that a player scores fewer goals. What should he say about his findings? Okay, there is a correlation between the two. Okay, there is a correlation between playing time and the number of goals. There may not be cause. I'm going to go with, you know what? There's a correlation between playing time and number of goals. However, there is no causation. This is because there is a decrease in the number of goals with a decrease in the number of playing time. I don't like that. That doesn't make sense. Let's check. Now, I'm going to probably get these wrong. Holy crap, I got them all right. All right, so go back through and listen to my explanation, okay? Usually this last one, there has to be some type of, this is because an increase in calling plan price with an increase in income just didn't make any sense to me when I was reading it, so that's why I didn't pick it, and same with the last one. I didn't like this statement right here. This is because there's a decrease in the number of goals with a decrease in playing time. I didn't like that because, however, it says, however, there is no cause. Well, technically there is a cause, so that's why I picked the one in the middle. All right, so just look at it, try your best, go from there. All right, the data plots. Draw a line of best fit for these points. It doesn't have to be exact. Well, as I'm looking through this, you just draw a line of fit. Not very hard, so we'll place a point here, and we'll kind of, maybe right about there. That looks like it draws through it. Let's check it. Correct. Ladies and gentlemen, you can, if you miss this one, we have to have a serious conversation about your drawing skills. 15. All right, Scatterplot shows number of hours worked spent on entertainment by each of 24s. Use the shown, and then there's a best line of fit. Okay, so let's talk about this. For these 24 students, as the number of hours increase, the number of money spent tends to what? Increase. Okay, so amount of money spent on entertainment, number of hours worked. What is it all doing? They're all increasing together, okay? For these 24 students, there's a blank correlation. That's positive. Okay, that is a positive correlation. It wouldn't be negative, and it wouldn't be none, because none would be too scattered out and they wouldn't have a good line of fit. Using the line of fit, we would predict that a student working 8 hours would spend how much money? So you want to use the line of fit. So at the number 8, you'd scroll up and you'd use the actual line, not this point here, the actual line. So the actual line looks like it's between 20 and 25. So that'd be like 22 and a half. Or I'll go 21. And let's see what it says. Correct. Okay, hopefully you guys understood that process. At 8, you'd scroll up and you'd kind of see what's offered to you and you would pick it. Okay. Number 16, relatively simple. Okay. So same thing, 23 students. Here is your line of fit. That's the exact line of fit of your equation. What is the predicted time doing homework for a student who doesn't spend time watching TV? Well, if I don't watch any TV, this would be 0. And if this is 0, then my answer ends up being what? 26.04. Okay, so make sure you guys know that in here, it's talking about if something was 0, what is the other side? 26.04. What is the predicted time spent during homework for a student who spends 12 hours watching TV? All right, there's my equation. Okay, now you need to use a calculator on this. If you use the graph, you'll get an approximation that is not correct. So what I would do is on my calculator here, okay, so let me hit the calculate button, and I'm going to go negative 0.76 times 12, okay? Because that's my hours, and I get negative 9.12, and then I'm going to add 26.04. And if I do that, I come up with 16.92. So make sure that as you guys do this, 16.92, you do your proper setup. For an increase in 1 hour of time, what is the predicted decrease in the time spent? Well, if I add a 1 here, my decrease is the rate of change, ladies and gentlemen, which is going to be negative we'll go 0.76, which is the exact same thing what a rate of change is. Now let's check it. You hit the check button. Please have a where? Positive number where? Right here? Oh, it must be this one's positive. And there you go. Oh, it must be because it says it's already a decrease. I just need to put the number in, so it's a positive number. So note to self, hopefully it says it on the test. It should, and then you would continue. Okay, so make sure you put a positive number in there, go from there. All right, 17. Here's a scatter plot. All right, doing 24 students, write an equation. Approximate equation of the best line of fit. All right, so we have talked about this before. One thing I want to make sure you guys do, and so I'm going to write on this board here so I know what my lines of fit are. So I'm going to go with this first point here and the second point. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I want you guys to understand what we're about to do on here. Is we're doing a best guesstimate. So I'm going to pick a point. If this is 0 to 4, that looks like it's about a 3. So my x would be 3. And then my y is 24. Okay, so there's one point. And now I want to pick a point down here. Let's go somewhere around here as the best line of fit. So remember, this is an approximate. So I'm going to use this intersection right here, even though it's not a point. I'm going to go, oh wait, I wrote this one wrong. No, that's right, 3 over. Okay, this one here is going to be 28 over. So I'm going to go, my other point's 28 and 4. All right, so there are my 2 points. Now, if you guys remember this, we're going to skip one thing real quick. If you guys remember this, this is what I want to make sure you understand. We had covered this 2 days ago, all right, when we did the lesson 4.6 that some of you missed. If you guys remember, we talked about I want you to create a table. So first we're going to create a table. Then we're going to do this special formula. Write this down and memorize it if you don't have it. I will try to see if I can put this on the board for you guys to actually use. So here's my formula. Remember, it's y1 squiggly mark mx1 plus b. Now I put in my 2 points, 324 and 28 and 4. And ladies and gentlemen, it gives me, ooh man, that was perfect because that's a perfect line. Gives me my m and my b. So I'm going to write it over here so that when I skip, So my M is negative 0.8 and my B is 26.4. Okay, this is my M equals and this is my B. So now that I have that written down, I can go in here and create a formula. So my formula is going to be Y equals, and it's a negative, because that's a negative going down, negative 0.8. And it's going to be X, and it's plus 26.4. Okay, now using this equation, we plug in, using the equation, plug in 12 hours. So on my calculator here, okay, I'm going to go in here, I'm going to type in 0.8 times 12. Now I didn't do the negative part because I'll figure that out. So I'll put negative 9.6 because that's 9.6. And then it's going to be plus 26.4. All right, so I come up with 16.8. So according to this, my answer here should be, come on, where's my mouse? Oh, there it is. My answer here should be 16.8. Now, hopefully you guys understand that setup. Now let's check my answer. And the answer is correct. Okay, watch the video again if you have to. You guys understood what I did. I used our cheaters chart, okay, on Desmos. Pick 2 points. I could have picked this intersection here and this one right here because that's a good line of fit. If I imaginary in my brain drew a line down here, I picked those 2 points. I picked them. I put them in a Desmos using the Y1 formula to come up with this. Gives me a slope and an intersection. You guys need to do the same thing. Is it hard to do? Yes, but not if you can remember the steps, okay? If you can remember the steps, you'll be highly successful. All right, here's another one. Equation, line of fit. Okay, average monthly temperature. Now, for you guys, I need to make sure you understand what is the observation. All right, so versus predicted. All right, okay, so at 25.7, we observed 51. So here's my 51. At 34.4, it is 67. So here's what we observed, 67. Now what you do is here's the predicted model, okay? So what I would want you guys to do is plug in the value into this equation for the predicted model because this is the predicted model. So if it's a 1, basically what you're doing is taking this number and making it negative. So it would be, in this case, it'd be negative 51 because 51 times negative 1 is that, and then it's plus 82.59. Okay, if I put that in there, my predicted model would be 31.59. Same with this. Okay, now it's going to be a negative, so it's going to be the same thing. Negative 67 plus, and then it's my residual value here. I have it on here, 82.59, and it comes out to be 15.59. Okay, so it's going to be 15.59. Actually, you know what? I think I'm doing this wrong. Oh, poop, it's the temperature. So I put the wrong temperature in. Whoops. All right, let me back this up. I did the wrong thing. I'm glad I caught it before I kept going. All right, so predicted model is not that. It is, I put the wrong numbers in. So make sure you guys don't do that. The predicted model is this. So instead of making it 51, I would actually go, because I'm like, those numbers are weird. It'd be negative 25.7, and then it's plus the 82.59, okay? Hopefully you guys understand. So what I'm doing is I'm taking the number 25.7 and I'm adding it to my equation, which is, if you guys look, where did my mouse go? There it is. It's right here, this equation. So it's plus 82.59, okay? When I do that, so that's one equation. And then my other equation is negative 34.5 plus 82.59. All right, so let's find out that. So this number is then 56.89. And this answer here is going to be 34.5 negative, and then it's going to be plus 82.59, and that comes out to be 48.09. So what does residual mean? Residual means, ladies and gentlemen, you take it and you subtract this number from this to get what your actual dollar amount is in the residual. So this one is going to end up being negative 5.89. How did I get that? This would be 51 minus 56.89 equals that. 67 minus. So 67 minus 58.09 equals, and then this is going to be 18.91. Okay, so this is 18.91. Now, let's hope that I got this right. I hit check, and I got it correct. So let's make sure to rehash what we did. On this formula, ladies and gentlemen, you have your observed numbers, which are on this table. You have your prediction based on your model, which is you take your first equation that's up there, you plug in the temperature, and you come up with this. And then it's always this number minus this one to equal that residual effect. We didn't talk about that in class, but that's how it works, okay? Number 19, scatter plots and residuals. Match them up, okay? Remember what residual means. Residual means what is the difference between 2 points. Okay, on this one here, I know that, look how close, this is basically right on it, and so is this. So this one goes with, this is scatterplot C, and it's a perfect model, right? If you guys look at res 3, that, see how close that is? That matches that line of fit. So that's going to be B. And this would be a good fit, but not perfect. And then this one's going to be A, because it looks the same. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is a not appropriate model. Hit check, and bam, you get it right. Just look at it, it makes sense. It should make sense to you how you guys do it, okay? Next, and last but certainly not least on this list, because I know this is a long video, it's similar. For which one of these data sets is the correlation coefficient appear to be equal to 1? Remember we talked about correlation coefficient is where the line touches almost everything. And in this case, it would be figure 2. For which data set is the correlation closest to -1? Well, this is, I don't know what that is. This is still positive if I draw a line, but this one is what? That looks like it's going negative, so this would be figure 4. Which data set shows the least evidence? Ladies and gentlemen, that of course would be what? Figure 1. Because that is some wackadoo crap right there. And that is it. Work through this again if you have to. The last couple pieces aren't that hard if you covered the homework. The stuff in the middle is the most difficult. Keep your focus on what you struggle with. Maybe make a mental note to yourself and study what you struggle with to be successful in everything else. Remember, you got 2 days to take this test. That Wednesday, you need to hammer down and go. So that way on Thursday, you can smoothly go through what you struggle with, okay? If you have any questions, come see me. I'm here before or after school for tutoring. Good luck, study up, and I know you will be successful.